let me just rush through. Yes, let me just rush through the next thing I wanted to talk about, which is VR marketing, virtual reality. Well, the one place I actually saw this being applied was at the Dubai Expo, and that was Rwanda. So they kind of, while other brands were telling you, come look at the pictures of gorillas in our country, watch the videos of, elephants and giraffes in our country. Rwanda had a VR booth. You literally just put on the VR goggles, and it's like you're in the game park. You're trekking, you know, which is amazing. And today I had a conversation with a friend of mine called Suna from Sefboda, and I told him, you know what, it would be amazing if if a platform like Sefboda had VR tours, where I'm in the airport, I'm in the waiting lounge, and there's a Sefboda booth where I can just put on my VR goggles and just take a trip through Kampala while I'm at the airport. Look at how Kampala is, how busy it is. Is it raining? Is it doing anything? And it's amazing. I was blown away by our neighbors in Rwanda, but I feel like brands in Uganda should also take advantage of this because it's where the future is. So, what's your take on VR marketing?
Thanks, Faizo. So, on the global scene, definitely, Rwanda played smart because they knew the kind of audience they were going into, an international audience, and they needed them to experience this. Virtual reality is quite something heavy to invest in. So certain brands definitely might not afford to do that versus the returns. Many of the organizations always look at quick wins, which is not the vision of building brands and marketing out there. But if you're somebody who is very, let me call it visionistic, think ahead of what you're putting out there and the experience that will come about by somebody being able to just do that. Virtual reality, you can relate it to even experiential marketing in the traditional age, whereby somebody is getting an experience that they'll never forget about you. Offhead, I can remember when I was young, some of these experiences from various brands, from their experiential marketing campaigns. So VR is the new form of creating an experiential campaign. Yes, you have to invest into it and ensuring that people get to interact with it. But it's something that brands can take up. If you have the budgets and you're able to, depending on the revenues that you get and are able to invest in that, it is something you can think of. It's not very popular here yet, but hopefully we can see some of the top brands use that. It would be very good to go out for an experiential marketing campaign and you have a booth of VR. Let me imagine I'm at UBL and they have this experiential campaign and they're taking me through the production of one of their drinks. I'm just imagining how that would feel. You can imagine. They have the budget. They can do this. So for big brands, definitely, you want people to experience that. Not all of us have been to the factory, So these are things that you can do. They look very expensive. But in the long run, you have people who are going to really appreciate the brand and what it goes through to be what it is. So these are areas also that we can invest in. And it's something that is taking up on the global scene. Hopefully we can. But kudos to Rwanda for coming up with something like that,
I think I have someone who might want to ask something, John Magara. But before I unmute him, let me just talk about you talked about experiential marketing and VR, and the first thing that came to my head was nyege nyege. Because this is an experience. You really, if someone has never been to nyege nyege, it's the hardest thing to sell. Because you're telling them, we're in a forest, but there are lights. And they're like, what? Why would you party in a forest? And we sleep in tents. What? Why would you sleep in a tent? So the first thing that came to my mind was, wow, if Nyege Nyege had a VR booth where you just put on these goggles and you're literally sucked in, look at the concerts, look at the number of stages, the lighting, the people. It would just be way more amazing than the usual, hey guys, we have a festival coming up in September, come and attend. So I'm already excited. I hope they pick this idea up and then just execute it for us. But before we go into the closing remarks and some of the other trends we wanted to highlight, I don't think John is still on, but anyway, let me just keep going. So, John, we're running out of time, but the one thing I really wanted us to talk about is green marketing. So, as a CSR initiative, brands like, we've seen Uganda breweries and Stanbic set out to plant trees and replenish the lost forest cover. But are they really calculating their total carbon footprint and finding out in real time whether the tree planting they're doing is actually compensating for the carbon emissions of these brands? From a global perspective, we have something called greenwashing. And this is where a company or an organization spends more time or money on marketing themselves as environmentally friendly than on minimizing their what? Their environmental impact. So at my startup called Tugule, I have a few people I work with at Tugule. We recently started this thing where we plant trees for every shipment, to kind of compensate for our carbon emissions. So at first I was on LinkedIn telling people how very green we were. And then I got all these tough questions of, so you're green. So what food do you guys eat in office? Huh? So how many papers do you use? So I got all these very many questions that actually made me sit back and recalculate or recalibrate my words and be like, are we really carbon neutral? Like when your employees are coming to work, do they use normal border borders or electric border borders? Because when it comes to carbon emissions, you literally have to count everything from the operations of your team to the last mile logistics to literally the entire supply product chain of your company, and actually come to a conclusion of whether you are actually carbon neutral or not. But what I'm seeing brands doing is they come out, yes, it's good to plant trees, but there's what they call false marketing. Carbon neutral, the steps a brand has to take to be carbon neutral are very, very many. You have to fix your supply chain, your last mile logistics, your product value chain as well, because we don't know whether when you're manufacturing your products, you use some radioactive materials or not. But just talk about these brands that are venturing into, green marketing as a form of CSR, yet they are using wrong words like carbon neutral, yet they are actually not carbon neutral.
Yes. So thanks, Faisal, for that. Now, it's very interesting that you've brought up a topic like that. Sustainability, also referred to as the triple bottom line, whereby organizations are thinking about their the people, the planet, the profits. It's something that is very big, especially in Europe, America. They consider so much their green footprint. Here, incidentally, it's something that is not well understood. Many people don't even appreciate or understand exactly what it is. But it's a trend many organizations are trying to adapt, especially those that have a global affiliation. They're trying so much to see how they can be sustainable in whatever they do. And definitely, as we get in more international organizations, definitely we're going to learn more about how this this is going to be very interesting. And the good thing is that definitely these companies invest in a lot of communication to try to educate various masses about this. I would like to relate this to an example of various companies that here locally that are doing production. This is something they need to think about before it hits them. It's just like healthy living. If you notice from the times of the COVID pandemic, people started to think about their health quite so much because there's a lot of communication around that. So it's the same kind of trend that's going to come about. Probably it will need something better to push that. If you saw the recent climate conference, there are lots of complaints to many organizations and countries are just talking. There's no action that is being carried out. Definitely it's a global challenge. But the earlier you start it, the better. Let people appreciate that. We know for certain countries in various countries in Europe and America that various people, before they purchase your brand, they want to understand how your brand is very friendly to the environment, right from where they are getting their inputs to the final output, the processes it goes through. So it is something that brands need to consider locally, because definitely if you did had negative PR about how you're polluting the environment, let's imagine one person woke up one morning and put it out there that these guys are probably disposing of their waste in this manner, it would definitely change the way people think about you. I am hoping we say a day where Ugandans start to appreciate those green concepts and start to purchase from brands like Tugule that appreciate ensuring that the environment is what we have. Incidentally, the impact of global warming, everybody has their thoughts about it. Some say it is true, some say, you don't understand. But if you've been following global trends of locally, rainfall and all that, definitely you should be thinking about sustainability and a green environment wherever you are. So brands need to start thinking that direction. Otherwise, we're going to start thinking green very soon, and it's going to be something very big, like we have started thinking healthy. So at one point it will happen. So don't wait for the storm to start acting. It's better you start thinking this early enough.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. So, brands, if you're thinking about calling yourself carbon neutral, please first find out whether you are actually carbon neutral. This involves your production process, your supply process, your last mile logistics, your the sourcing of the raw materials. How are you sourcing them? Are you being environmentally friendly as you're procuring all these raw materials? And this is why big brands actually always ask for what they call traceability. They want to know, yes, you want us to come and take your cotton in Uganda. Where is this cotton coming from? Yeah, where it's being planted. Did they have to cut down a forest? Are they paying these farmers? And are they paying them well? Yeah, when the cotton was brought to Kampala, what kind of trucks did they use? What were the carbon emissions involved in this whole supply chain? Because these brands are being serious about what they call sustainability. The advantage is Datamine right now has been accredited for a sustainability diploma as well. So if you feel like you're a big brand, you want to venture into green marketing, enrolling some of your marketing personnel at Datamine would be an amazing thing. This is after level 6. You can do a paper in sustainability, get a diploma in it, and then you can actually have someone walk the talk for your brand, and they are actually qualified to do it. One of the other big trends in marketing trends in Kampala have been digital billboards. This, I don't think we really need to speak a lot on about it. It's part of video marketing. There's also been an increased level of skilling. Yeah, we are looking at. I mean, right now there's 3 study centers doing CIM, accredited for CIM in Uganda. That is not a coincidence. This only means these guys have realized that people in Uganda actually want to train in marketing. They want to do CIM. So there's been an increased level of skilling. People are interested in marketing. They're finally starting to take it serious. Let me end it with creativity when it comes to campaigns. Yeah. So creative campaigns convey. They really tell a story. Yeah, I'll give an example of Coca-Cola's campaigns during Christmas and how they are, telling you to share love, share this, share that. DSTV's campaign, recently concluded campaign that was called Joy. That's amazing because one of the main words used during Christmas is joy. If you just do a simple SEO, joy comes up during Christmas. So for DSTV to actually attach that to their campaign, creativity. Explore Uganda, how they came up with a logo, how they came up with a brand, how they came up with the words, amazing. So as we end this session for today, there's so many things I really wanted us to talk about, but we run out of time. Just talk about the fact that brands now need to be able to tell a story, to be able to craft a creative campaign. We're seeing brands like Total Energies doing this, DSTV, Safe Border, Uganda Tourism Board. And what message should you or do you give brands that are looking into this kind of creativity? Like, do you just sit down one day, brainstorm with your board, and then you're like, okay, fine, now we have a story for our brand? Or do you have to get an agency, get some creatives to actually execute something like the Explore Uganda campaign?
Cool, thanks, Faizo. If you come to think of it, that like we said in the initial stages, that you want to build your brand. It's not a one-off thing. It is something you're doing for a lifetime, for the generations to come. You need to invest heavily. Like we said, if you're creating video content, invest in the right people. Same thing if you're coming up with campaigns. You're not going to sit in your boardroom and come up with campaigns. And we need to appreciate agencies and people coming up with all those kind of work. Fine, if it's not an agency, definitely you can get individuals who can put themselves together and come up with a creative concept. Some people, of course, want to always avoid the expense of agencies. You can see so much that people are running to radio stations directly to buy media and all that. It's a trend that has grown for people to be able to cut costs and all that. But I see big brands continuing to invest in agencies and people who are creative to be able to help them drive brands. For one, I can tell you, Coca-Cola has done it quite well. Their Christmas campaigns stand out for over the years. I can remember it from as far as back when, before Tyrese was the actor that many people know he is. He had one of those ads where he's in a bus Christmas season singing about Coca-Cola in a bus, and it was a very nice ad. I can still remember it offhand. So that shows you the experience it has. That is over 20 years ago, by the way. So that shows you the power of creating a campaign or creating content that is very, very very, very lively, and that gets to your consumers and customers to that level. So it's very important that brands invest in such assets to be able to deliver the world and compete. And now that the economy is fully open, definitely everybody's running up and down. It's good that they have quite experiences that are going to bring them back onto brands. Definitely, many people went off certain brands because of pricing and all that, but you want to get them back, so interact with them more. And which takes me to the traditional media side, that a trend we're going to see on traditional media is that there's going to be quite a lot of interaction because people have been missing their brands. Fine, we love the digital, but also the experience of being with the physical brand itself is something very, very exciting. So it's going to be quite interesting how we're going to see more companies run campaigns and interact with their audiences in this year.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Paul. Off that, off the creativity that we've just been talking about, I think it's safe to say brands are also investing a lot in market research, because when it comes to the Explore Uganda campaign, I mean, these guys had to go all the way to the Nyero Rock paintings, take pictures of those the paintings, the graphics, then forge an entire logo out of them. That is just the beauty about the level of marketing we are at right now. That campaign was by TBWA, if I'm sure. That's the brand, one of the top agencies here. And like you've said, the brands that have money should really not fear investing in some of these companies, because they already have the creatives you're looking for. They already have the copy. They already have the resources. If you talk about the DSTV Joy campaign, it's not by coincidence that they chose Joy. Someone from a marketing background will understand that these guys sat down and looked at SEO and looked at some of the common words that pop up during periods of Christmas, and joy was one of them. There's actually a Christmas song about joy, something like that. So that fact that brands are investing into market research, big brands are investing into market research, should tell you, who has your small business or your small company, that if you really, really want to make sense to your customer, speak to your customer. Find out what they want. Find out what they need. Find out what sparks their soul. What gets them talking. Because yes, they are businesses, but for a business to survive for a very long time, it literally has to have a soul. Look at brands like KFC, Coca-Cola. They've been there for lifetimes. They've run a bunch of campaigns like these, and they've always come out on the winning side. I remember there's a I think Budweiser. In the 80s, they put out Budweiser Light, the light beer. And back then, very many people used to say, light beers are for women, they're not for men, blah, 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 blah. And what did Budweiser do? It got weightlifters drinking this beer. He's from a game, he's from a knockdown, and then he's just on his light. And he's like, yeah, it was a light game, And then he just chucks his Budweiser, his light beer. And what happened? The sales of Budweiser Light literally doubled during that period when they launched that campaign. My only problem is when it comes to, our places like here in Uganda, people still think light beers are for people who are lightheads,
Yeah.
And brands are not doing so much to talk about that. They're not doing so much to say, hey, you know what? This light beer is actually the best beer. You're going to drink it, you wake up tomorrow, the hangover is not as bad, or you can drive. Drinking and driving is bad, but you can still function after consuming this product. So market research is a very big thing, and so is creativity. Thank you all for tuning in. Yes, we still have a lot to say, but unfortunately we are out of time. But all you have to know is this episode will be live on our YouTube channel. I'll share it on our Datamine page. This has been the Marketing at Datamine podcast. It's live on Twitter every Thursday at 6 p.m. So we look forward to hosting you again. Please, Paul, any parting remarks, any parting shots?
Yeah, all I can say is that this is going to be an exciting year for marketing, and we are going to see what various brands are going to do out there to make sure that they're coming back and mainly interacting with their people. But they should not forget the digital channels. People have got accustomed to digital over the past 2 years. So it's very relevant that you stay online. Don't run offline because you're saying that the economy is open up. Always prepare for the worst. Be available 360 where everybody can get you in all directions. If it's WhatsApp, if it is TikTok, if it is Instagram, if it is Facebook, if it is your website, do all those things that somebody who is out there is able to get you at all levels. So looking forward to an exciting year in marketing. This is January. Hopefully we can review this next year and see what happened and what is going to take place in 2023. Thanks, Faisal.